Can I ask you just one last question?
Sure.
And it's okay if not, if your answer is no. Do you see yourself changing the way you talk about Mormon, potentially demonic? Like, did this conversation affect how you might move forward in how you display that or approach that?
Well, I am not disabused of that explanation for the production of the Book of Mormon. So I would say that it's still on the table for me as an explanation. But to use that language, I think what I would try to do is to add maybe like a disclaimer, like to say, for example, if I believe a religion has a demonic element to it, I am absolutely not saying the people who belong to it are demonically inspired or more prone to maliciousness or evil than other people in religions that I would say are false religions. So I might add some caveats to that, but I am still firmly convicted, because what makes Mormonism unique versus, like, say, Methodists or Baptists or others is they put forward as a virtue of their religion that there was some kind of otherworldly encounter with the founder of their church, which to me opens the door, saying what kind of element from the supernatural. It's opened the door, and we can start to ask what kind that is. And I still think it's a fair question.
Okay. I appreciate you answering that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Of course. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Hayden, for being on. I will link to your original video below if anyone wants to check out to see what I was responding to, we were talking about. And yeah, hopefully whenever this airs, either later or back, go and check out my colleague Joe Heschmeyer's debate with Jacob Hansen on the Great Apostasy. If it's not out yet, it will be out soon. So Hayden, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you very much.
I have no issues with people trying to come up with some explanation for the origin of the Book of Mormon. And he is right. Most Christian denominations do not have any visions or angelic ministries to inspire their foundation. Most of them are just men who think, well, something's wrong in the church that I'm in now, so we're going to go found a new church where I can correct what I see as an error. Now, I believe Trent here is Catholic, so he does have that belief that there was a supernatural origin to the Catholic Church, which he traces back to Christ himself and then Peter as the first pope, which I'm not going to get into right now. But he is right that most other denominations are just men separating away and trying to correct what they see as error. So, yes, it is understandable that if you're going to claim that you had an otherworldly experience or supernatural experience, that people can question the origin of that experience. After all, they accused Christ of being possessed by devils because he was displaying supernatural ability, supernatural power, and they needed some explanation of it other than that he was God. And that's what we're going to have. Those who don't want to believe are going to need an explanation. You can't just hand-wave away the origin of the Book of Mormon and the founding of this church. It doesn't work. Now, you can say, the Baptists, that was just some guys out there trying to correct what they saw as errors. It's just a philosophy of men that can be, in essence, waved away. But you can't do that with the Book of Mormon and the founding of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Because it wasn't just some guy deciding that there was errors and he was going to go and correct it. No. There were angelic ministries. There were visions. There were miracles in the same way that we see in the scriptures with every other restoration of the gospel. So you have to deal with that. If you don't want to believe that it is from God, then at least for a Christian, the only other option you really have is that it's demonic. It's from Satan. If it's not God, your only other option is Satan. Now, a lot of people try to find other ways to explain things with like hallucinations and all this stuff. But when it comes down to it, you really only have the two options. Either it's God or it's Satan. It's the same thing we see in the New Testament with Christ preaching and organizing the church then. The Jews, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the scribes, the leaders, they were faced with the option either this guy is from God and we should follow it, or we have to explain it in some other way, and the only other way to explain this kind of supernatural power is Satan. So, for those in the modern day who don't want to accept the truth, they're going to they need some way to explain it, and they will explain it the best they can, and that's going to be blaming it all on Satan. I mean, it's the pattern of history. We see it all the time. Every time there's a restoration, the true restoration is categorized as demonic by the establishment that is already in place. This is why Christ taught, you can't put new wine into old bottles, because the old bottles reject the new wine. They burst, the new wine bursts the bottles. And that's what we have here. The gospel is the new wine, once again brought out. Creedal Christianity is the old bottles that don't mix. And we just have to accept that. Now, we may not like it. We may be offended, personally. I used to be offended. I used to get annoyed. I will say, in general, I don't care anymore. It doesn't bother me. Now, what does bother me, as I've said in previous videos, is when they get the doctrine wrong. When they start lying about the church. When they start telling, misrepresenting the doctrine. When they make claims that we believe something that we don't believe. Those kind of things, that's annoying. And that's what we need to fight against. And yes, I agree, presenting the truth about the coming forth of the Book of Mormon and all that, very important. But we shouldn't be presenting it as a counter to their claims of demonic influence. Because it's a pointless thing. We present the gospel, and we just present the truth. And God sent angels to Joseph Smith. Moroni came, delivered the gold plates. The Book of Mormon is a true history. When they bring up an objection, we address it, and then we move on. Because if they don't want to believe, they're not going to. If they want to say we're demonic, as long as they got the doctrine right, as long as they're not lying about the church, and are simply stating that they believe that the angels that came to Joseph Smith were sent by Satan and not God, fine. Just get the doctrine right. Don't lie. Believe what you want. Your personal belief doesn't bother me. Your lying and deceitfulness and disingenuous attacks against the church, that is a problem. That's why I like the Hello Saints channel. He kind of started off with that kind of attitude of he didn't really understand the doctrine. And even today, he is not a believer. And if pushed, he might even say that it was a demonic origin, that these were angels sent by the devil. That's good, because he doesn't lie about the church anymore. He is honestly trying to present the church as it is. So, as I say, believe what you want as long as you get the doctrine right. As long as you're not lying about it, mischaracterizing it, or anything like that. Believe what you want about it. It doesn't bother me. But again, I'm rambling. So I'm going to leave it here. Like, subscribe, all that jolly good stuff. And I think my next few responses will not be to YouTube Shorts, but to somewhat longer videos. And so they will be somewhat longer in length. And I have a couple of videos that I will be doing responses to that will be in multiple parts. So that is what is coming up. If you are enjoying this, give me a thumbs up, give me a like, give me all that stuff, build it up, and I will see you in the next one.